Then the political and social changes in America made me feel less comfortable than I used to be.
And now you've moved here.
Yes, last month. The Golden Visa part of the process has been one of the more reliable and smoother parts of the overall operation. But I'd also advise people, I would do it again.
I would too.
Neighbors of ours, literally around the corner, on the day we arrived, they got to our casa first, and they brought over dishes and linens and some
Set up a
furniture.
bed for us. They
Right.
took their light fixtures. So
Yeah.
all of the light fixtures were gone
Yeah.
when we moved in.
Toilet
which
seats.
was, there were no toilet seats.
We're very happy to have Matthew and Winnie here, and thank you for coming over.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, so they're the Golden Visa investor that invested like 5 years ago almost.
Coming up on 5 years, yeah.
Coming up on 5 years, and now you've moved here
Yes, last month.
last month. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it
Yes.
would be nice to know your stories and your journey,
Okay.
like why you decided to do the Golden Visa in the first place, and why you decided to move here already.
So actually, it's also another anniversary because I realized it was 10 years ago this month that we first started thinking about moving abroad. Yes, exactly. February of 2016. So we were just researching and thinking about different places that we might like to be.
Yep.
Europe is obviously very attractive because of the history and the culture and the services and the lifestyle.
Correct.
And so we discovered Portugal's Golden Visa program.
Yeah.
It's closer to the U.S. than some other options. We still have family there, and so we like to go back and visit. And that's really what got us.
And then we started, every time we looked into something within Portugal, policy-wise or how the government works, it was always the answer that I would hope it would be, if that makes sense, So, you look up what the politics are on like women's health or something in that order, and then you read about it and you're like, wow, that's how I would want it to be. So that was always a nice surprise.
So the philosophies, the ideology,
Yeah.
the people, the friendliness,
Everything.
Right.
the toleration,
The acceptance.
acceptance. We've visited many
times?
times. We've probably
Yeah.
visited four
4 or 5
times.
I
And
think
last
5
year,
total, but
last year
yeah.
we spent a month here scouting
Yep.
properties and so forth.
And honestly, there hasn't been a portion of the country that I haven't liked.
What about your decision to move to Portugal at this time point in life?
So we were looking for a change because of our age and stage. It certainly made it easier. Neither of us had really spent any time living outside of America for any length of time. Neither of us even did a semester abroad when
Right.
we were in university.
Right.
And yet we love to travel. And so we reached a point in our careers where we could make it work financially, and our children were grown. We don't really have a hometown that draws us
No.
very often. Our families they're small families and they're scattered. So, and then the political and social changes in America, made me feel less comfortable than I used to be. And so we put all those things together and thought about living abroad.
And how do you like it so far?
Yeah. We found a little group of friends, which is great. A couple
Right.
people in the neighborhood, which has been
There are a lot
fantastic.
of expats. We'd like to learn the language and make some,
Right.
Portuguese friends as well.
Yeah.
But it is nice to have people you can socialize
Immediately,
with on day
and-
one.
Yeah.
And they're very
Oh
welcoming.
my gosh. Yeah.
Neighbors of ours, literally around the corner. On the day we arrived,
Right.
they got to our casa first, and they brought over dishes and linens and some
Set up a
furniture.
bed for us.
Because there
It
was nothing in
fantastic.
the house.
Yeah.
There wasn't a stick of furniture. And so they did, only having met them really for a couple of hours last year when I signed the papers for the house. But just based on that alone, they've really extended themselves to help us move in. And people across the highway, same thing. And we've probably been hanging out with, we've socialized more here than
In
we
the
have
last 6
in
months,
America.
right.
Like once a week, we're getting together with people just kind of spontaneously for
Right.
wine or
dinner.
music. So it's been good. So I realize it's extraordinary, but along with some problems with the house we didn't know about, and the transition can be difficult. But hopefully we've turned the corner.
Yeah.
We're feeling more comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just, you do have to learn to be patient with.
it's a different culture.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
With everything.
Yeah. What are some of the challenges like?
Oh yeah, the home ownership is a little bit, when you take possession of a home here, it's a different experience than when you take possession in the United States. The expectation of things functioning within the house
Yeah.
or what, like even what they leave. So we weren't ready for that. That
Right.
was
So there's no pre-inspection like there would be in America. There's no contract for what stays
What stays in
what
actually
goes.
you could ask them to put it.
Things in there, yeah.
Okay, so
And-
part of it is just living in a different place,
Right.
even if it were a different part of America. And
Part.
there is a language barrier, but
Sure.
hopefully we'll
Working on it.
reduce that over time.
Yeah.
So a lot of people speak some English, some speak very good
Thankfully.
English. So when I try to speak any Portuguese, they ask if I speak English.
So can you share a little bit more about your Golden Visa journey?
Sure.
Yeah, so I just, having decided to look into living abroad and focusing on Europe, at that time anyway, certain countries come up that have golden visa programs and
That is a pathway to
Pathway to citizenship.
getting a passport. Yes.
right, which I was interested.
Right.
I was very interested in having because I like the idea of feeling like we're putting down roots, that we're committed to the culture, and that they're committed to us as well. Not just a second home or something like that, or a means to some other end, but that we explored Portugal as a place that we would like to live.
Right.
So
we
we-
explored a
At
few
the beginning,
countries.
You were already
We
thinking.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you
Where
kind of retire, you want to move.
Yes,
where do
exactly.
we want to be,
Yeah,
right?
it's-
And we looked at a few countries and
Yeah.
went to a few, and you
Sure.
know, in particular, we went to Greece
Spain,
and
Greece,
Spain,
Italy.
and I knew Portugal was where I felt most at home.
We felt most comfortable, and geographically being on this side of the continent of Europe is
being West
very
Coast
useful
is
because
great.
it's a single flight to get
To
back
the East
to the
Coast
Boston
of the
area.
United States,
Very
yeah.
convenient.
Right.
Um,
Flight as well.
so
So then you started looking into the
I just
Golden
Googled,
Visa.
learned about golden visas, and then having chosen Portugal, we started just looking at what consulting firms did the work to help us, because we don't know the language and we don't know the system. We didn't know the laws change from one time to the next. So we definitely knew that we wanted a consultant who spoke English, who was responsive. And so when we contacted your firm, it was very smooth even from day one, the communication and being able to communicate clearly and with information and answering questions and all that. So it just kind of one thing led to another.
Right.
Thanks.
Yeah,
So-
it's been good.
Yeah.
The Golden Visa part of the process has been one of the more reliable and smoother parts of the overall operation.
Right. Right. It's more than you
Yeah,
do the work and then you have to wait.
Right.
That's you just have to get used to.
Because that part has been
Yeah,
slow.
the waiting part has been like kind of.
Yeah, the
devastating a
uncertainty.
little.
Yeah, the waiting's hard.
Almost 3 years for me to get my biometric appointment after submitting the application, which is a long time.
It
so
is.
yeah, especially when we knew we were committed to this, and for the delays we just had to yield and give ourselves up to it and see what will happen, or have the confidence that it will happen someday.
Yeah,
It is
you
coming.
got your residence
Got my
card
residency card. Yeah,
already.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Last
So-
October.
Right. So it's just caught up of a series of events that's delaying a lot of the
Yeah.
like
Right.
prolonging the waiting times and so on.
Right. Well, it's
Right.
just
Yeah.
psychologically, it's hard to commit when you don't have legal residency, and you have
Yeah,
to.
it is. So it's always kind of like, what's going on?
Right.
Right.
Am I gonna get it?
Right.
It's just
And is it
Right.
you're out of 180 days? Can you only stay 90?
Yeah,
you know?
the Schengen shuffle, right? So you can't be here as long as you want if you don't have residency or citizenship. So that part has been hard, but again, there's progress on that front. And we hope that the interval between Winnie's biometric and getting
my
her residency
card,
card will be
yeah.
shorter than mine, because it was
Should
another
be, because it's
year and a
another
half.
process.
Yeah.
So when
Right.
you get your biometric, you have to do the biometric, and then you wait for the approval, and then
Yeah.
you need to pay,
Yeah.
and then your cards comes in.
Yeah.
When this starting from this January, they changed the process into you go to the biometric and
Yeah.
you pay at the same time.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
So then they will automatically approve you and send you the card.
Okay.
okay.
Let's hope that's how it goes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did not know that.
Let's hope.
That sounds
so
better.
actually- Yeah, so actually you need to have your cards ready, like a debit card or
Okay.
ready to make the
Okay.
payment.
Good to know.
Yeah,
Good,
and
yeah.
then it should speed up. Yeah.
Okay.
the
Okay.
process.
All right. That's
Should
good
be
news.
like getting the cards within 3 months. That's what we've been told by the by the IMA counter.
Okay.
So during the time since we applied, the government agency that does this work disappeared and was replaced by another one.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of governmental, bureaucratic change, and of course that would slow down the paperwork as well. So,
So hopefully everything goes back on track.
yes, hopefully it has gotten smoother.
It has gotten
Yeah,
smoother.
not everything some things are not yet in place, but I do
Right.
believe that that's going to happen. So yeah.
Right.
Right. Patience.
Patience.
Yes.
What about your take on like the nationality law? Like,
Yeah. Well, do you want to speak to this first? It was disheartening when the far right parts of the government got that revision put through, and without any consideration for people already in the process, and lengthening the time from 5 years to 10, doubling is pretty significant, especially when those types of factors are the kind of things that potential investors are thinking about, right? As they think about different options, residency and the duration of stay and all that. Those are factors. So when that changed without any warning, and again, without it making it retroactive to people who are already in the system,
queue, yeah.
that was unsettling to me. But even there, because I'm planning on living here, I was just thinking, okay, well, it'll just take longer. I mean, it's not changing where we live or if we do this. It's just a little disappointing that it's going to take longer. So I was encouraged when it got referred to the courts. I appreciated the liberal side of the legislature requesting that formally, and I also appreciate that the courts have sent it back to the legislature to redo. So hopefully
So
what
we don't
comes
know
out,
yet, yeah.
hopefully what comes out of the second iteration will be
Right.
something that would at least give some consideration to people who applied 5 years ago.
Right.
Because
You'd be right on the cusp.
well, I will be, yeah.
Yeah.
But even if it weren't for me, I mean,
Right.
part of the big picture, I believe, and I'm just an amateur on these things, but Portugal is, redeveloping, and it wants to establish that reputation on the world stage of being reliable. And this is not the changes that were proposed and then now rejected. That does not build its image as a reliable place to do business, to live. And so this is an opportunity, hopefully, for the legislature to consider those factors when it revises the immigration law.
yeah, I think the Constitution law did its job at least to kind of tell them
Yeah.
some are unconstitutional.
Yeah.
And let's see what the new proposal is.
Right.
And then we hope that
Right.
at least there's some specific like grandfathering or something.
Right.
Yeah, some special treatment or something
Right.
for someone who's started to progress like almost 5 years ago, like not going to 10 or maybe.
Or just
maybe
making
for
it
everyone.
Right.
forward, progressive, meaning like
Yeah.
it applies to everyone who from
Yeah.
that date on makes sense. I mean, most of the time within the law, when a new law is enacted, at least this is United States brain, but it's always, you can never do retroactive because
It's actually
whatever
unconstitutional.
whatever laws were in place when the
Yeah.
action happened is what applies, and then it going forward. Yeah.
So in American culture,
Right.
the legislature cannot make a law ex post facto. It cannot make it retroactively. And so I was shocked when I saw that the first version did. I was like, well, that's not going to stand. And ultimately, it didn't.
It
So in that
hasn't,
regard, the system worked, which
That's great.
That's a great thing, right?
Right.
That's really good. So even if it weren't for myself, I would like things to develop in an organized and reasonable way, because I'm literally invested in Portugal, but I'm also emotionally
Right,
I'm
emotionally
invested in
and
the culture.
financially,
I'm
right.
interested in its reputation and its status.
Because you're calling Portugal home from.
Yeah,
Right,
I mean,
right,
So you
that-
right. You
best
want to be
of the
proud
country.
of
Right,
where you,
right,
where you are.
right.
Yeah.
So we'll see. As long as it's reasonable, then if it's reasonable and I don't agree with it, that's fine. That's the way democracy works.
And you mentioned when you consider a move abroad, you focus on the EU country.
So
Question.
one part is the history and the culture and the geography, being close to America. So I'm at a time in my life where I'm still active, I'm healthy, I'm not working full time. I do a lot of volunteer work, but I have a lot of free time, and I love to travel.
Right.
So the fact that Lisbon is a short plane ride to Paris or London or whatnot.
Everywhere.
So I like being in a place that not only is close to America, but is close to other places in Europe that are interesting to visit, and it's much more. It's just richer opportunities for travel and learning, rather than some other places that were offering a golden visa.
Right. Europe also each country are so different culturally and
Yes.
so on,
Historically,
language,
yeah.
history. And you're
Yes.
so close to it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
also the EU passport, actually the Portugal passport allows you to
Be in the
be
EU.
in the EU anywhere.
And there's so much to see here. There's a Knights Templar castle about an hour from our house that we haven't gotten to yet because we're still transitioning. But
Right.
there's a lot to see and do right here in Portugal as well. So I'm
Right.
looking forward to that.
Thank you so much for sharing your story and your journey.
Well, yeah, we're happy
Sure.
to do it.
Any tips for people who's going through like either moving here or
Yeah.
going through the Golden Visa? Any tips?
The biggest thing is just having patience. I mean, don't be afraid to ask because we do keep going back and asking, and you've been very responsive as
Yeah.
far as when we email, you always respond very promptly, and
Yeah.
which is we appreciate because sometimes you start to have the anxiety build of is this actually going to happen, and all you have to do is do an email and have someone
Yeah,
assure
I
from
think it's-
Right.
it's
from the
very
other
important
side.
because
Right.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you would just go, ooh, yeah.
Yeah, you can go down in your mind,
what
rabbit
if,
holes,
and-
yeah,
yeah.
that aren't necessarily
And since
helpful.
we have so many different cases, we see people going through it each days or each month.
Yeah.
We understand the process. We'll get there.
To
right.
be aware that it really is involved.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Things that you wouldn't think about. And it's not only real estate, a good lawyer, a real estate broker, a consultant, but also things you wouldn't think about, like traffic patterns and parking. I think
Yeah.
it's. I would also advise people to stick with it. There
Yeah.
is a
I
payoff.
really appreciate you guys. You guys are being so patient. And now, actually, the new applicants that are coming in like last year,
They
this
want
year,
it. They
they're
want it
so
now.
eager.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, that's just disheartening.
Yeah, I was telling my
We don't want to be
my
the patient
clients,
one.
Yeah, like within like a few months.
Oh,
after
no.
my trip.
Don't tell me that.
But there's a good news.
Right.
Right now, people who are coming in, they're investing $500.
I think for us, a lot of it too is we didn't like. Yes, your money has to work for you, but we weren't thinking about financial gain necessarily. We were thinking
Right.
about emotional quality of life gain, which
was-
is, I think, probably
That's
actually
quality
pretty
of life.
pertinent
Yeah.
to say. Is quality of life is going to be better? Are you going to have the same financials that you're going to get in U.S.? Probably not. But emotionally, it's probably so much better for you not to be as focused on that.
Options.
Yeah.
Right.
To move here.
Yeah. I
Right.
would say also don't move here if you expect everything to be cheaper, because some things are about the same for us
Yeah.
here as they are in the Boston area.
Yeah.
Some things are much cheaper, but don't assume that this is going to be a bargain, because it's
Right. I would almost budget about the same amount per month that you
Altogether.
spend, in the U.S. here, especially in the beginning, because you're purchasing things that the current is different, so you have to have all of your kitchen items have to be replaced and all of that. So your budget has to be ready for that.
And I had another thought about
Yeah.
Portugal. Why Portugal? Yeah, there are some Golden Visa programs like America's right now where you simply give a gift of a large amount of money to the government and it's
Yeah.
gone. It's
Right.
basically like a
A
fee.
lot of them are donation based. Yeah.
Right, and
That's a huge
it's very
chunk of
nice
change
that
to
this is an
donate, yeah,
investment.
yeah.
The investment firms that you connected us to, we actually had occasion to visit them last week.
Yep,
That's
yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Very solid operation. We've had some dividends so far. We have a lot of confidence in them. We're actually thinking about investing new money in them in a different fund later this year.
Great.
So the idea that, okay, yes, we invested and you are diverting a lot of your nest egg, and you won't be able to touch it for 5 years or whatnot. But ultimately, again, we plan on being here. Eventually, you're going to get that back,
Yeah.
and there'll
It's an
be some
investment.
interest. Yeah,
Right.
you'll get
You're
some
gonna
money
get
back.
the money back, and then you
Right.
get the gains as well.
Exactly. So that's a real competitive advantage compared to some places.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you for your kind tips to our viewers. Right. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you for
You're
having
welcome.
us.